Hi, welcome to the historic Stephan Willard cabin that was built in 1934 here on Lake Mary Road. We're known as the Gallery at Twin Lakes. I'm Robert Joki, and this is my wife, Sue.
We've come home. I've been coming here since I was a toddler to Mammoth, just vacationing, only a couple weeks at a shot, but this always has felt like home to me. So this has been, actually it's heaven on earth to us to be here finally.
What you'll see now is more of an emphasis on history. Some aspects you'll actually think you've walked into a museum. We are an art gallery, but we also are a museum of history with works from Stephan Willard in the 1930s, a lot of his contemporaries. It is California art of the Eastern Sierras, but of a different era.
Well, can we go take a look?
Welcome.
You bet.
Come in.
And what are we going to look at first?
Well, this building was built in 1934, and it was built by Stephan Willard. We're lucky in the fact that we actually have a lot of his work amongst other painters, so let's look at some Stephan Willard's work. Willard was a Palm Springs photographer and painter from the 1930s. We're lucky that many of these works actually represent the local area, for instance, Lake George. This is the Kearsarge Pinnacles. He would print a black and white photograph, and then he would decide what parts, elements of that photograph were actually going to still be allowed to come through, and then literally paint a painting based on that photograph, actually on top of that. So everything that you see in that color painting is actually based on a black and white photograph that's underneath. Very unique. I think another aspect is that when you first walk in the doors, you don't hit a sales counter. We've got, vignettes of furniture, because this literally is our living room. So at night you'll find us sitting here. And when our customers come in, they may find the same thing. We may have a cup of coffee in our hand. It's unusual to walk into a retail space and find people that you actually feel like you're walking into their home. And so that uniqueness is something we were able to make people feel real comfortable with real quick and invite them to see art in every room in the house. We have art in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, and everywhere else. And so that's also unique for this building to have all the rooms open. For the past owners, going even back to the Willards, the residential parts were kept private from the public. But for us, we have so much art and we're so proud of the whole place, we want to have it all open.
We think of ourselves more as a home, and I think it's what's made people who've come in here and maybe have seen some of the price tags on the walls and go, oh, all of a sudden they realize that they don't necessarily need to have an understanding of what's happened or have a checkbook to accommodate some of the things that are in here. They feel like they've come into a home, they're learning about history, they're learning a lot about art, and all of a sudden there's an emotional response. They start, I'm not sure how to put it, they resonate with this funny little cabin. And where they were thinking maybe they'd be looking at souvenirs, they realize they've stepped into history. And it's just wonderful to see their growth and their emotion that comes from being in this place. And they really, I think, do resonate more because of the fact it is a home.
Now that chair seems like it's got some character. Is there a story behind that?
Well, the man who made it was himself apparently quite a character. His name was Charles Selden Belden. He was a photographer in Long Beach, California in the 20s, and then for whatever reason decided that Idlewild, California was where he wanted to live. Moved up there in the 30s, and in his garage started this little furniture making business, rustic pine furniture. He called the business Pinecraft. And we fortunately have a fairly good collection of his works. There aren't too many of them around. They're all extremely unique, as this chair shows. It's also very period correct for this cabin, and we suspect there's a very good chance that Selden Belden also knew Stephan Willard, because with Willard's being in Palm Springs, he'd go up to Idlewild to escape the heat. They were both photographers. And oddly enough, we have some furniture in here that was made by Stephan Willard that's covered with the heavy bark. There are 5 pieces that still remain here from when he was living here.
Yeah, we're really lucky that those pieces remained here, because to be able to open this space with his original furniture as well, and then to combine it with the Pinecraft furniture, it really puts it into the right look of what it would have looked like when it was a brand new studio in 1934. And so it's really remarkable that his original sales counter, the heavy bark on pieces are the ones that were made by Stephan Willard, and they also quite obviously resemble the work that was done in Tamarack with the bark on log furniture and things that are within the Tamarack, the outside as well as the inside. And so it's remarkable too that the bark is still on those pieces, but even that they've stayed here all these years.
Is there?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, a big one.
But is this, which Mammoth is this?
Gene.
Gene. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a
Big one.
Yeah.
huge one.
Not a large piece, but very interesting, Maynard Dixon. Don't worry, take it easy, get strong, get lazy. I want to see freckles on both your back and tummy when you come home. Your too affectionate old sheep herder, Menardo. In fact, he dated the letter, incriminated him slightly, but it's kind of a real neat piece of history because it not only talks about the WPA projects and things he's working on, but then, with the little extra little twist of missing his girlfriend, who became his wife.
Don Meier and his granddaughter came in very early on after we'd opened up, and she was so cute because we took her back out to the old miner's cabin, and she remembered playing a game where her grandpa, Don, the owner of the cabin, would hide the bottles up on the hillside, and she would go scamper off and try to find them. And of course, we still have those bottles here, and she just freaking out. But then her mother, which is Don's daughter, dropped in a couple weeks ago. We had them over for dinner, and their stories about their memories of this cabin and what went on here for the 20 years nearly that he had it. Wonderful. Owners of this cabin have somehow or other become one big giant family. We're spanning a lot of generations now, but there's such a common bond, a real deep love and fondness for it. We've met all the previous owners now, well, obviously not Stephan Willard.
You refurnished this? I take it these are things you put in?
Yes, when we purchased this, it did not include any of the furnishings other than just a few pieces in the very front, which were the heavy bark-on pieces for, like the sales desk was actually built by Stephan Willard, who built this as his artist studio in 1934.
The artist that you have hanging.
Yeah, we have a lot of his work. We're very lucky to have a lot of his work in his original studio.
Interesting.
So if Jack London was here, this is the room he'd be sitting in, I'm sure, today, writing a book. The deer come and look right in the window in the morning. You'll be on your computer, and they'll come and look to see what's on your computer screen. Thanks so much for coming to the Twin Lakes Gallery today. My wife Sue and I will be happy to have you come back again, and we'll have something new to show you every time you come visit us up here on Lake Mary Road at the Gallery at Twin Lakes.